Welcome to Shooting the Shift with Marilyn and Elizabeth. These light warriors, both native New Yorkers, walk their walk, talk their talk, and keep the real in the deal. This dynamic duo joined forces to assist you through your transformational journey one step at a time, empowering you with spiritual tools you can use in your daily life. Each show begins as a conversation creating an opening for spiritual connection. There are never any scripts, and Spirit is always illuminating the way. And that's when the shift hits the fan. The magical messages of the ancestors, spirit guides, and Gaia are respected, honored, and always given sacred space to communicate. Join Marilyn and Elizabeth as they shake shift up and do what they do best, speak from their hearts.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. This is Elizabeth.
Hi.
And
Good morning. It's Marilyn. Welcome back.
Miss Maryland. And welcome to the last Wednesday of February 2022. So there's a lot of buzz going around on the internet yesterday, Marilyn, about 2022.
Yes.
I don't know if you had any expectations around that date or anything. Me personally, I've been waiting for today. I'll tell you why in a moment. But there was some weird energy yesterday. It felt almost to me like, and everyone I had an encounter with, it felt like I was swimming through Jello, right? I'm swimming. I get in. It's nice and clear. And then I keep going. It's a little murky. It's a little heavier, a little not so clear anymore. That's how it felt to me. And I felt, it didn't feel ominous in any way, not at all. But it just felt tedious, challenging, trying to get my words out of my mouth, expressing myself clearly was a little more difficult for me. And I was like, oh, Lord, I hope that this shifts quickly. And when I woke up today, I was like, it's gone. I feel good. So that's how I felt that day. How'd you feel?
It's the murky waters, right? And we talked about that last Wednesday, right? About the murky waters and how it isn't. The fluidity of it is not, it's just not available, right? Because it's just murky and it's just a little rough. So it sounded like it was, you had that experience. Yeah, I think that it's, the shifting that's taking place right now, right, is really affecting everyone in a very different way, depending on, the frequency. And I say frequency and I use it a lot because I understand it and hopefully everybody, will understand, or they do understand what I'm saying.
Let's throw that out there. Very basic frequency, very basic. So people know, just in case, right?
Right.
So you're on your radio dial and you want NPR, National Public Radio. So you get right to the dial and you're a little off and it's staticky and it's not clear. And then you adjust that dial just a tiny bit and it's clear as a bell.
Right.
Now you can move that dial and go to rock and roll or old soul music or whatever you want. But all three of those, even though they're on the same radio waves, they're different frequencies.
Different frequencies, exactly. And this is what's happening, right? Because there's such a shift and change depending on where you are in your life, right? Where you are thinking process and your feeling process too. And, there are many people who are really struggling, like really deeply struggling. And it has a lot to do with their trauma, right? Resurfacing, right? Trauma is resurfacing. We have had, several years now of, experiences where a lot of the old traumas were being brought up. And if we didn't have, let's say, someone to talk with, about these, feelings that we were having, then it became another, just another load to carry, right? And so what happens is that now, when things are opening up a little bit more and there's a little bit of shifting and changing, with how we're being in the world,
Yep.
A lot of people are having difficulties in their, how would I say, like almost like the reentry, right? It's like a reentry. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like yesterday I was doing, I was doing sacred work yesterday. So I was in my, I was in my element, and I was like, just bringing in a lot of, just messages, that needed to be spoken.
Yep.
So I didn't feel that yesterday, but that was because I believe that I wasn't in that space. I was working, the energy.
Yeah.
So it was a little different for me. Yeah. But I can say that it was like
Interesting.
that for others though, who I
Mm-hmm.
spoke with, right? So yes, it's that sense of there's something happening. It does. I also can articulate it, like how beautifully you were able to articulate, right, your process, like what you were experiencing. And that, I think that's a beautiful thing when we're able to tune in and able to have language for that, right? Because it
Yep.
makes it easier for us to shift. When we
Yep.
don't have the language for it, it becomes a little difficult to shift that, right? Because we are like, what is that? What is that?
Mm-hmm.
We're still trying to investigate, right? But when we're just in that
Yeah.
place, yeah, beautiful.
In the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about our life stories, our old story, our
Mm-hmm.
new story, our journey, our soul's journey. And so, today we're talking about the importance of baby steps. And I think, implementing a clear path for ourselves. And um, there's great importance in celebrating our successes, no matter how small or insignificant we may believe them to be. And every time we celebrate our successes, we raise our momentum and get closer to
Mm-hmm.
our authentic selves. And, I feel like that's a really good continuation on the last two shows
Right.
because we are now moving, charging forward. Every single planet in our solar system is direct. There's nothing in retrograde. For a brief moment in time, don't get too excited because we have four retrogrades this year. But our planet Mercury is our planet of communication and how we make plans and how we schedule things in our calendar. And it literally went direct and out of its shadow today. So everything in our universe is direct. And this morning, I took a really big leap, but it took a lot of baby steps to get to that leap. And I booked my ticket to England for the month of June, where I am meeting a lot of soul sisters and amazing people and doing some studies with my mentor, Tony Stockwell, the amazing medium in the UK. And so everything about me today is rah rah, sis boom bah, move forward, right? Totally different
Yeah.
energy than
Yeah.
yesterday. And I'm the metaphor girl, Marilyn. I can't help it. And the one thing I like to say is if you just close your eyes for 1 minute and you imagine a giant platform, a foundation that the Eiffel Tower can go on. So it's a big, big foundation. And then in front of you is this quarry, and it's a quarry of stone. And you can pick and choose which stones speak to you. One's got a chip on it, one has a crack in it, one fits just right, one's perfect. And you go to the quarry and you bring one brick and you say, this brick fits good on this foundation. You're going to build a tower, right? Let's, whatever you want. You could build whatever you want. I'm building a medieval Rapunzel round tower. But the whole point of that metaphor is it's a lot of work and there's a lot of plotting and thinking and paving your path. But one day you're chopping wood, hauling water, dragging that stone over, and you got a quarter of a tower, and then you got a half a tower, and then you're on top of that tower, right? So we forget that it takes all those little steps and the processing maybe of each little step in the way that we build it that changes our next step and our next brick. So I think this is a really important topic.
Yeah, for sure, right? Because the right, if we learn, because it's a matter of learning or relearning, right? Because when we were young, we used to celebrate the tiny moments, right? We used to celebrate every moment, right? It was just fun.
Yeah.
Everything was joy filled, right? And so we were always celebrating. And then there came a time when we started kind of shutting down and maybe not celebrating so many things, and maybe not being as grateful for the thing, for everything, that came to visit. So the
Right.
thing is
Right.
to be able to say, I always go, everything is temporary, everything, like it could be your
It's one of
happy
my
moments and
favorite
it could be
movie
your sad
lines.
moments, right?
Yep.
But it
Yep.
is a moment, they are moments in time. And if we start to really focus in on what it is that we really want and how is it
Yep.
that we want to feel and what is it that we want to do and be in the world and then move
Mm-hmm.
in that energy, we'll always be
Right.
moving in a very positive momentum. It's when we start to negate how we feel. So if I say, well, I'm really not happy doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway because X, Y, and Z, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not going to bring me any joy. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to be, how would I say, like, usually this is what I tell people: if you're in a job and you really aren't happy in this job, right? And I understand you need a job, you need to earn money because you need to survive, right? But we want to live a full life, and working means a lot of our time, right? A lot of our living time is spent in our jobs. And if we're
Yep.
doing something that we just hate or don't like, then think about how life feels then. We have
In
to be
all
able to
parts of your
feel,
life.
yeah, and it's so important to be able to say, you know what? I'm not happy here. And what I need to do is find where I am happy and go there
Mm-hmm.
and do that. Because when
Yes.
we settle for things simply because, well, the money is really good. Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
what about your life? How are you feeling about your life? Because that's what
What's the
matters.
cost?
Yes.
Yes.
What about the regrets later on in life when you say, I could have done this,
Yeah.
and that didn't happen because I got stuck in this, hamster wheel, just spinning it and never living a
Mm-hmm.
life, right? Like
Yep.
tomorrow, I'll get it done tomorrow. So I think that it's
Yep.
important for us to say, you know what? Today we can start anew. Today we
Yep.
can say this is the new beginning. Every day can be a new beginning. Every day can be a start of a brand new way of being in the world. And
Mm-hmm.
when you step out and you do something that's different and it feels good, celebrate that. Don't, like just bypass it as if it's not a big deal because it really is a big deal because you've
It is.
ventured out and you've done something that was different and it felt good. And if we can
Yep.
celebrate those moments, how much better are we going to feel? And then what happens is we're going to want to keep feeling that feeling. So we're going to try to, we're going to try to stay in that frequency because that's the frequency where our momentum, and is raised in a way where it's helping us to feel good in the world, right? Because
That's
we
right.
want to feel good. It's important to recognize that. Some people have gotten very comfortable with not feeling good. It's almost like, oh, that's my norm. I don't have to feel
Right.
good. It's not. And yes, we need to. We need to be able to feel good, you
Yeah,
know?
sometimes you get so mired and used to something, whether it's good for you or bad for you, that it just becomes habit. And
Yeah.
it's hard sometimes when, especially after COVID, and we've all been held back and stuck, and whatever our situations have been personally, that it's hard to feel like life's going to start over again and that things are coming back and that there is that light at the end of the tunnel. And that's why I use the analogy of the bricks because seeing patterns based on obsolete stories and our old stories, it's really important that we recognize those because to change our path, to change our trajectory, um, we can't stop there. We have to also look at what we want in the patterns that no longer have a place to take hold with us, and how we want to identify ourselves. And that's why I made it, a quarry where you have a choice. Every damn brick is your choice. Whether it looks like a crooked brick to someone else really doesn't matter. It's going viscerally with what feels right for you. And there's a pattern. My brick tower makes a pattern. And when you look at the pattern, you're creating a new pattern. You're interweaving new things with these. So you really got to start with that first brick. Maybe your tower has always been yellow and now it's fuchsia. Or, there's new things coming in. And that's why I wanted to start with that clean, solid slate. With that visual. And, darling, we forgot to put our phone number out, and we've got a minute till our break. So I'm going to make sure that I get the phone number out.
Okay.
Because if people would like to call in, we would love to help you or read for you or hear anything you've got to say. So our number is 202-570-7057. 202-570-7057. And nothing would make us happier than to help somebody, talk to somebody, connect with somebody.
Or even if somebody wants to share something, maybe they want to share an experience, that could be good too. You call and share an experience. If there's any, any connections with any of the, shows that we have produced, that would be good too, right? Because that's I'd like to
But
hear
I think
stories.
going off to break, I think it's really important to think about that you are not your patterns. Your biography may be, your past is part of the pattern, but you're not your patterns. How you respond to what's happening and heal and evolve in the world is where the new story starts, right? So I think it's important to honor the baby steps. Yeah.
It's recreating. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to be back in just a minute, and we're going to continue this topic. Stay with us.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Welcome back to Shooting the Shift with Marilyn and Elizabeth. And I just want to say we are taking calls today. If you feel called to call, 202-570-7057. And today we're talking about honoring baby steps and building a new path as well. I think it's important because we've been focusing on the old story and the new story. This isn't about betterizing ourselves. This isn't about improving ourselves. This isn't about New Year's resolutions. This is about looking at maybe a couple of bricks you want to kick out and a couple of new things you want to add in, and honoring your journey, what the steps you took the lessons, we take the wisdom, and sometimes we do need to forgive ourselves for maybe feeling like we misstepped or took a wrong step. I know you believe this too, Marilyn. I don't believe there's any mistakes. I believe everything that happens is part of our soul evolution, and the things that happen to us, especially that we're co-creating, are there for a reason. But sometimes we can say, well, that didn't really serve me very well. How can I do that differently, right? And that's bravery. That's consciousness. That's awakening.
Yeah, it is, right? And it's important for us to recognize that, that, yeah, everything that's happening is happening, and we're going to experience it all probably differently or the same. We don't really know, right? Depending on where you are in your life. Again, I have to say that because I think it's important to understand that we are all probably, receiving a lot of energetic frequencies, that are being called in, right? And what happens is that depending on where we are, like if we're feeling, like if we're sitting in our pity party, right? And we've been there for so long and we still can't get out of it, right? So we're gonna get shifted in a different way than someone who already has said, okay, I'm done with this pity party, and now I'm moving into a different, energy or a different belief or a different way of thinking. That person is going to receive it differently, right? Because their experience, where they are in their energetic frequency, right, in that moment is, I'm taking a higher step, right? I'm moving in the direction of being happier in my life. I want to let go of this. I'm going to release. I surrender this. Versus the person who's saying, I'm going to sit here longer. I don't like the way it feels, but I'm going to sit here longer. Because I just, and we have to remember, we choose to sit there. We choose to stay in that energy. We always have a choice to move out of that energy, right? To clean ourselves off, to dust ourselves off, and to say, and I'm going to try again, right? And I'm going to try again, especially if it's something that means a lot to you, right? If you're trying to let's say co-create something and you're having difficulty co-creating it, but you took a couple of steps and you did something that you can actually see that there's going to be some growth. There's like, you just planted a seed, right? So you sometimes you have to just wait for it, right? You have to just water it, give it light, give it the nourishment that it needs, and then allow it to grow. You can assist, right? By making sure that it has enough light, that it has enough water, that, the nutrients are available for it, that you're doing your part. But it's so important to allow it to do its stuff too, because we can't just now say, I planted that seed and it's got to grow and I'm going to pull that seed right out to see if it's going to grow, because nothing's going to come from that, right? Rushing stuff, it's not going to work. Sometimes thinking outside of the box, right? Like if you've been thinking, oh, I've been doing this over and over and over and over and over again, and I still haven't, been successful no matter what I do. I've tried everything. Well, I'm here to say that you have not tried everything. You have tried everything that is within that box that you have created. And I'm going to say, open that box up fully, make it so that it no longer exists, and allow yourself to do more than what you thought you were capable of. And now we're talking about expansion, right? Now we're talking about moving forward in our lives. But it's important to celebrate, every step. It doesn't matter how small. It doesn't matter how small it is. I think that the more that we celebrate, the better off we are, because we start to feel, first of all, we start to feel really good, right? We start feeling good about ourselves.
I like the word.
Yeah, I
Optimism.
feel good, right? Yeah, when you feel good, then everything that you're focusing on stays in that energy, right? And then so more good things keep coming, right? It's like if you're focusing on the negative, you know what happens when you do that. Everything that
That's
is
right.
negative, it's like it opens up and there it is. It's waiting for you. So, we have that. I really believe it's a power that we all have. It's a gift that we all have. And we show up every day with it, right? So
Yeah.
if we're feeling really not so good, then we have to start to say, okay, what is it that I'm thinking that's creating this feeling in me? Because I'm thinking something that's creating this feeling inside of me. And if I'm able to access that, then I'm able to move forward. And then I can, I celebrate those moments. Those are moments that I
That's
celebrate when I'm able to say, oh my goodness, I found yet one more thing, right? I found yet one more, nugget, right? To be able to move out or to integrate into a different, energy rather than the energy that it's been in, right? So that part is important because, yeah, we have to
it's
think about
important,
those things.
Yes, and I think it's also important to say, some people have to sit in it and get sick of themselves until they're going to move. And the lesson is in that too. Sometimes you have to get all pruny in it. Somebody can hand you a hand to help you out of your little petri dish of pity. But unless you're going to take the hand or you're ready to rise, you're just not going to. And that's okay too. It's not about judging people or, that's the one thing I've learned so much in this lifetime. In the past 5 years, I would say baby steps too,
Yeah.
is, you know, the more compassionate I become for myself, the more compassion I have for everybody else, and the more I can see other people's pain, right? I can see other
Yeah,
people's,
sure.
yeah, and that's a huge thing because my favorite saying, probably of all time, when it comes to spirituality, is in the end, it's never between you and them. It's always between you and God. And so every person that shows up in your life and every encounter that we have, it's a reflection of where we are in our reality, whether we choose to go with the flow of that person or this person or where we are. But sometimes, and I think it's important again with that forgiveness word to remember that sometimes as humans, we can get very, very stuck. And so sometimes some not so wonderful things happen because we eventually need to move. And I call that the splinter in the soul. That splinter is festering in your thumb and it ain't going anywhere until you get the job done. So you can sit there and suffer, and your thumb can throb and you can get an infection. Or you can go, that's it. I got to take this leap. I got to get this splinter out of my finger and get myself just a scotch more freedom, right? Or just, and
Yeah, and
it's
we can always
important.
ask for help, right? Because it's important to recognize that to ask for help is not being weak. When we ask for help, we're being strong people. When we're able to say, I need I need help. Can you help me with this? Or, like sometimes people have difficulties with that. It's like, no, I have to do this all by myself, or I'm not strong enough, because for whatever reason, maybe that's a belief system, that was taught or that was learned somehow. And it's part of the new, part of the old pattern, the old way of being. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we can't change that. It just means that sometimes we have to be able to say it's okay to be able to ask someone for assistance, for some help. That doesn't mean we're weak. That just means that we are human and we need help sometimes. We all do. When I've needed help, even though I really do, I'm one of those people that used to have a really hard time asking for help. It's
Me
really,
too.
and still it's that, I'm still that little, have to wrestle with this a little bit. But I understand the importance of it because sometimes, with a little help from someone else, you can shift so much faster out of your stuff with the help of someone else. I mean, you can help yourself and shift yourself. Yes, yes. But it can take a long time too. But with
And
the
it can
help of
help to have
somebody
somebody
else,
who sees clearly for you
yeah. And
things
it
that you
helps that
can't
person,
see.
and it helps that person as well, right? So that when that person is helping you, you're also helping that person, because that person needed also to experience what they're experiencing, right? And that's a gift that we give to each other when we're able to do that, right? So that's something
Yeah.
to consider. And then okay, I can celebrate that when I ask somebody for help. I can celebrate
Yeah.
that because that's a moment for me, right? So it's
Yeah.
things like that.
And what I was the point I was trying to make too is that I know that there's a lot of people out there that feel stuck, that feel like I can't move, that feel like, I don't know my next step. And that's right, asking for help always is one of them, because sometimes it's just such a simple thing. And somebody shows up and they can see things. They don't have your baggage. They don't have your DNA. They don't have your patterns. And they can see so clearly. You're like a horse at the gate with the blinders on, and you can't see left or right. You can only see ahead. And ahead feels maybe difficult and sticky and hard. And so when you do get that help, that's where a shift automatically happens. Just in asking for help is where that shift happens.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to say is that old patterns, they don't really have a life. That's not like they don't have a frequency. They're dense energy. They're old patterns. And we have the inherent ability to unchoose them. And so when we make and unchoose something, you know, you don't even have to know what you're going to choose. You can say, I don't choose this anymore. And if you don't know what your choice is, I'm pretty sure it's going to show up for you when you decide that's not that's not on my radar anymore. I've done that a million times. I'm just not going to do that. And I think the next step will come, especially when you're asking for help. Um, it's just important. I think it's important that I know for me, 5 years, 6 years ago, I can sit here and say, you know, I was in a very difficult situation, and the universe kind of said, well, now here you are. And people always say, oh, you're so strong. How did you get through that? You're so brave. I'm going to tell you what, I didn't have a choice. I mean, I could have given up, I guess, but I wouldn't have even known how to do that. I'm not going to give up on my own soul and my own life, but I didn't have a choice. So sometimes we don't have a choice except to look at things differently or to show up and be brave. And being brave has nothing to do with being brave. It has to do with being afraid and doing it anyway. That's what brave really is. And that's what I always tell people is that, and people will always show up for you. I don't care who you are on this planet. You were not abandoned by God. You were not abandoned. If you don't like the God word, source, spirit, whatever you want, you were here for a purpose and you have agreements and people will show up for you. So it's important to know that in our darkest hours, yes, there is help. And yes, you're not alone.
Yeah.
It took me 1,000,000,000 steps to get on this radio show. 5, 6 years, if somebody told me I'd be on a radio show or I'd be expressing myself, I made jewelry. I wasn't even a woo-woo sister. My true soul self kept knocking. I love that song, Knocking on Heaven's Door, Bob Dylan. He sings it because I kept hearing that knocking, like that splinter, kept festering. I kept saying there's something more. Something more that wants to rise. And those were steps, baby steps.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I'm
Can
sitting
you
here, I'm
think of one
thinking,
step that you've done that was really changed your life's direction and you didn't see it at that moment? Putting you on the
yeah,
spot. Sorry, Marilyn.
yeah, I think that there were many steps that I took, and they were all baby steps because I was one of those people that would take those 10 steps forward and 9 or 8 steps back, because
Right.
there was always a lot of fear, right, involved, right? Like my work, in my work, originally I was always, fearful, right, of the information, of how am I getting all this information? How do I know all these things? What is going on? And but I do have to say that one of the things that I have to say is that I joined the group, and I think community is really important. Building a community or finding a community of like-minded people who can help you to just, hold sacred space for you,
Hold
that
space.
can
Yes.
uplift you, right? So for me, I think that was, an opening for me that I think helped me, because I was able to, I was able to allow other people, and I say allow because it was really hard for me, right? To allow the people to speak to me and to say, I see this in you, or the words that you have spoken to me are, so profound, or, whatever they were. And at the time, see, I was still in that negating, right? Negating, or, but recognizing that this beautiful sacred group, right, helped me to find myself, helped me to open myself, helped me to
Feel
to
safe enough
see,
to
to,
open.
yes, and I felt so safe that I was able to open, and I was able to then share. And it still is a beautiful experience, right, to have like-minded people in your sacred space, and that you can, call, and say, I'm having a moment. Can we talk about it? We do that for each other, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And I know that a lot of people maybe don't have that, but I would say that if nothing else that you get from us today, take that with you. Find and create a sacred group. Find or create a sacred group. And I know we're going to go off to a break. So so we're off for a break, and when we come back, we'll continue speaking about this.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Coping 19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
With everything going on, there may be times you feel like you can't handle it all. Journaling, meditating, and talking with friends and family can help you feel more grounded and better able to cope. Your kids are also going through a lot of new experiences, and simply talking with them about their feelings can be quite powerful.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Welcome back to Shooting the Shift with Marilyn and Elizabeth. And we get to listen to those commercials right there with you guys. And
Yeah.
I have to say, Ascending Hearts Spiritually Awakening Dating Service. I don't remember hearing that commercial before. If I did, I didn't recognize it. So Wow, I think that's really cool. I think that's really cool because I would imagine you would weed out a lot of people. So let's say this. If you're out there going, I want to meet somebody, I've been alone for so long, I don't know what to do, COVID is ending, you know, maybe you should check out Ascending Hearts because I'm not going to go to Match.com. It's too toxic for me personally. Or any of the others. I'm not dissing Match.com. I'm just saying I'm going to go to some place that's more spiritually based. So that could be one tiny baby step. At least go to the website and check it out. And if you've always wanted to go to the UK or follow your ancestry or start a vision board, start a dream, start one step of initiating one tiny thing. Doesn't mean you're going to buy the ticket and get on board. Just means that you are implementing one tiny step moving forward, opening up the path. Let's turn the bricks into a yellow brick road instead of a Rapunzel medieval tower. One brick at a time, right? So we walk this path, and every time we step forward, it's with intention. I'm not usually going out there and saying, I was going to walk my dogs at the park half a block up, but this time I'm going to go to Colfax where it's really busy. We usually have a purpose every time we put our foot down. And it can be a small, safe step. But I would say right now, with all the planets direct, and we've covered the old story and the new story and how we're all emerging here, think about one tiny step that you can implement. And what does that look like for you? It's a little tiny baby seedling. But that seed that we plant, whether it's a radish, a turnip, or a dream, it has everything it needs in that seed to plant, to root. It knows its own nature, and it will blossom. How it evolves is based on the love and intention that we give it. So really, it's the seeds work, but it's the intention and, as Marilyn would say, the frequency that you place in that seed that gives it what it needs to feed and grow.
Yeah, and also being able to speak your truth, right? Because a lot of times we don't speak our truth, and then we have major regrets, right? Or we have, we start to feel down and we don't feel so good, right? And and the more we hold back our how would I say, our voice, the more downward we go, right? So it's important for us to recognize that if we speak our truth, we can do it with love and compassion. If we speak our truth, then we are going to be moving in the direction, right, that is for us. But if we don't speak our truth and we hold it back and we hold it back, and then we have expectations that other people should meet, but we've never spoken that to them, and then we get all, we start to have our own interpretation of what happened, and the reality is that we never put our truth out there. So how can we have it met, right? So if we're not able to say, this is my, when you're disappointed, right, a lot of times it's because it's an unmet expectation that you were having. But if you didn't put the words towards it, if you didn't say, well, this is my expectation, right? And then you didn't, of course, maybe you didn't get it, right? But you never said this is what your expectation was, right? To someone, if you were expecting something from someone, those things are important. It's important for us to be able to speak from the heart. Be able to speak from the heart. We
don't live in a world that offers a lot of honesty until you really wake up. It's be nice. Don't make waves. People won't like you if you say that,
and it's okay if they don't like you.
Don't be in your true self. Exactly, all of it. I mean, we are literally unentrenching ourselves from so many shackles and BS and crap. You know how many baby steps it took to open up my throat chakra, which is still working on empowering itself, because I'm sure, I don't know how woo-woo you want to go, but I'm sure I've been drawn, quartered, murdered, stoned, put on fire, strangled, drowned, you name it. I had magical knowing, and I was not accepted for it. And here's the thing. So many people out there in the same situation. Probably if you're listening to this show, you're one of them.
Yeah.
But there comes a time where you go, it is safe. We are the trailblazers. We've evolved. We've done so much work with all those steps we took. Now we rise and we be brave. We are the way showers, right? One hand behind you helping someone up the stairs.
Yes.
One hand in front of you, somebody giving you a hand to help you
Right.
up.
Right.
It is a cyclical, I can't say that word, but you get my drift. This is something that is an evolution, not a destination. When we remove a brick or a blockage, another one's sure to show up because we never saw that one before until we removed the last
Well,
one.
it was underneath, right? It was underneath all of that, right? And then, but it's important
and the
to,
joy too. And the joy
and it's
too,
important
not just
to recognize
the drudgery.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's important to understand that the more you open up, right? And the more you allow yourself to free yourself from, a lot of times our fears are bigger than the experience that we're about to have. And I've learned
God,
that,
I've scared myself so much worse
Yes.
with my own thoughts than
Yes.
any reality could ever bring.
I
Really,
can say that
truthfully.
too for myself.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're in such you make it so huge that it's almost impossible to now put it out, because it's like you think it's gonna swallow you whole or something, and it really isn't. It really isn't. It's that you just built up so much fear around it. It's a story, and we can undo that story. We can just say, you know what? I understand. I have a story. I understand there's a lot of fear around that
Yeah.
story. And I had many of those. And I have had to say, I'm going to take the step through that. I'm going to go through that fire right now. I am just going to go through the fire, and I'm going to be okay on the other side. And it's interesting because I would go, oh my goodness, I was really afraid of this. Oh my God, the stuff that I went through, just holding that back was ridiculous.
Right.
But I didn't know any better.
I put on myself
Yes.
just being in the fear.
And I
until
didn't know
you
any
release
better
it.
though. And I didn't know any better. And I'm not like saying it was, like I'm not demeaning the experience or anything. I'm just saying, if now I know differently, right? So now when I have fears, I really look at them and say, how real is this fear? You know what I mean? Is this really a real fear? Is this something that I really need to be fearful of?
False evidence appearing real.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have to think
FEAL.
about all that. Yeah. We have to think about all those things, and being able to say slowly and just be gentle, be kind, be loving, be compassionate to yourself. It's important.
Yeah.
This is the year for rediscovering the self. 2022 is a year where you're going to wrestle with it a little bit. You're going to go through a lot of ups and downs, right? You're going to go in and out. You know what I'm saying? You're going to go through a lot of different experiences, and it's not all going to be hard stuff. Some of it is going to be filled with so much joy, because you're going to get to that place where you're going to say, oh my God, I see me. I see me.
I
finally
did it.
see me.
I hurdled this brick. I jumped over this brick. I'm free of that now. It's in my past, and now it's the next step. It's so true, Marilyn, because, when I think about it, look, a lot of us light worker warriors who are maybe beginning to enter into being more in the public eye, it's not about wanting to be famous. That is not something that I even want. If I could be the anonymous comedian medium and wear a paper bag on my head, I'd be thrilled, because I wouldn't have to put myself out there in front of people and maybe say I've got your grandma here, and they go, no, I don't, that's not, all my grandmas are alive, whatever it is. All our fears come up. I know every single medium that I've ever worked with that are amazing have those fears. It's part of the human condition. But the truth of the matter is, there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be people that are fearful of what you're doing. There's always going to be Debbie Downers. It's not about them, and it never was. Because if you're going to wait until you think everybody's going to accept you, hello, welcome to La La Land. Let me know how much it costs to get in, because I've never heard of that place. So some of your fears are true, but they also don't have a lot of power. They really don't. When you're true with your authentic self and
because you are more powerful than anything. You are more powerful than anything. And so it's important to recognize that. And once you recognize that, then things start to shift and things start to change, right? Because you are not limited. Yeah, you are not limited. I mean, they say, well, you're in the human body and so you're limited. But really, are we really limited? Because when we can co-create so much, right? When we're having these experiences that we're having that are shifting even time sometimes, right? I mean, I can say I have had those experiences where I know that time has shifted for me. I know that. Yeah, right. And I go, oh Lord, I didn't even know that was possible. But okay, it was done, and it was beautiful. And I was like, okay, that's good. You know, you're supposed to be somewhere in 20 minutes and you still haven't left. And it takes 25 minutes to get there. And you get there with 10 minutes to spare and you did not race and you didn't speed. What is that? Right? Then you go, what happened?
You were in the zone. You were in the zone.
So you think about those things. So I want to say, I know that, you know, we're talking about, you know, so many different things today, right? So much is coming out. But I just, you know, like I just went through my phone and I just didn't really look at anything, and I just pointed at something and I got something out of my notes, and I'm going to read it because I think it fits. Okay, so and it's a prayer, right? It's a prayer for everyone, right, who's listening. So it's sending prayers filled with healing energy, self-love, comfort, and self-compassion. May your energetic body release the trauma of every event ever experienced with love and compassion. May the teachings be in full review during this process to tend to your soul's calling. May your body recognize its strength and its balance. May you feel the soothing comfort of knowing that you are being held in loving, caring arms. May you honor and support your process. May you bathe in the sacred healing energies that are flowing through you in this moment, providing you with the necessary nourishment for your body, mind, and soul. You are loved. You are love. Blessings, love, and light.
I love that.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, because I think that, you know, we're all going through so much right now in these times. And I think that, you know, the fact that this came up when I mean, I was just like rolling through the notes and then just hit one and I got it. And I think that this is beautiful because, right, the energetic body needs to release the trauma of every event, right? And if we give it permission and we give it permission to do so, right, that's an amazing thing that we can do for ourselves, right? And if as a collective we can do this for the collective, how amazing and how power-filled this is to be able to have that experience, right, of just releasing the traumas of every experience, because we have all had traumas, you know, one way or another, right? We have all had traumas. We've all had, you know, just like wild, crazy experiences that have, you know, shifted us in ways where, you know, shut us down, right? And what I'm saying
hardened us,
yes. And what I'm saying is open wide and be not afraid, right? Open your heart light and shine it out and allow yourself to be vibrating in the world so that your light continues to vibrate in, you know, in such a frequency that it can light up the world, right? Because we can do that. And I know that, you know, sometimes people say, oh my God, you know, that's like impossible to do. No, it is not. We can do that.
Not.
We can do that. We can go into a room. Yeah, we can go into a room and we can light that room up because people's energies can feel it. And I think that that's important. If we know that and we can do that, oh my God, that's just amazing.
we live in a world that wants to keep us small. We live in a world that wants to contain us. And that's a whole big different show, isn't it? But when you were saying that beautiful reading that you were reading, I was hearing, may you stay forever young. And what did that mean to me? Why was I hearing forever young? Because of everything you said, like, can you stay in the magic and the awe that you are supported and not be hardened and not be bitter and take the lesson and keep that youngness, that innocence, that awe, that magic, because that's where our power is, in that
like
magic.
A child.
That's where we create. Exactly. The wonder
like
and
a
awe
child.
of the child.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, darling. Well, we did it again, Marilyn. We've done a whole show on baby steps. And I'm really excited, I have to say, moving forward. I'm excited about this year now. I'm excited about, I think that humanity as a whole has a lot of things to choose, because we are co-creating our future. But for the first time, in quite some time, I feel much more hopeful than I have, me personally. I can only speak for me, but about the collective. And I'm counting on you people out there.
We're all
especially the
moving
ones
in the right
listening.
direction, right? We're
The
all
awe
moving in
and
the
the
right
magic.
direction. And, that's how I always speak, because I never speak. I try not to speak down, because I want to say everybody's moving in the right direction. We're all moving in the right direction, always. Always.
Peace and blessings, everybody.
Blessings, love, and light. Bye.